Champions League and Europa League picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up at underdogfantasy.com, promo code PLGP to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Sunday, April the 27th. We are here in our regular Sunday evening slot to handicap, to go back over partial weekend of Premier League action, plus the FA Cup semi-finals. And then we've got the big ones this week, European action, Champions League semi-finals, Europa League semi-finals, and one Premier League game on Thursday night as well. Joining me, looks like, well, you can either have your £10 on he forgot his hat, or you can have your £10 on he's been in the bath. Or is it the hat bath parlay? Because Barry's the reddest I have ever seen him. The white T-shirt set it off nicely as well, Baz.
Yeah, definitely.
Been watching the World Snooker Championships this week. You do look a little bit like one of the red balls. Baz, what's happening?
Yeah, I landed the double today. I've just been in a hot bath, but I did also stand in the sun. It's football today without a cap on again. Actually, I don't feel in any danger, so it's probably more the recent bath rather than any kind of sunburn. So there's no aloe vera being dragged out tonight.
Why haven't you got a hat? Get a hat.
Oh, I've got two hats. I just sometimes forget to take one.
You're a silly boy, Barry. Let's have a look. The chat's lively as ever. Callum was first in. Callum, welcome along. James Maffei's here. The Bacchus people, John Culliffe. Connor Max here. Our Southampton fan. And Joe Bamber. Who had his bet ruined by Hoyland. Not much news and notes on this weekend. It was another underwhelming one, Baz. Like the three relegated teams all got beat. The teams you'd expect to win won. The FA Cup games were all right. I'd quite enjoyed both of them. We'll get to them in a little bit. But I think the headlines here, Baz, is that the picks were really good. Both of us are finished 5-2 in the league and 1-1 in the cup. So a nice total of 6-3. My lock hit, and I think you finished somewhere similar, maybe one better than me in the league, because you couldn't be asked to do the cup, if you remember.
I did the cup as well.
Did you, though?
So I did put out the unders in the Forest City game today. That was a winner. But Premier League's where it's at. This is the Premier League Gambling Podcast, Malcolm. And I went 6-1. And really, it should have been a sweep. I'm kicking myself, really, because my handicap of the Chelsea game said I really like the unders at 10-11. And then I pivoted and I went for Everton double chance. And actually, Everton had plenty of chances as well to get an equaliser. But that was the only loser for me, was taking Everton in the Chelsea game. Had I took the unders, I would have swept it. But never mind. Fulham winning overs, Wolves winning overs, Newcastle goals in Liverpool game today was nice and easy. Trying to think what else we had today. The unders in the Man United game. So really, really solid week. And following on from two other good weeks. Last 2 weeks have been good in the Premier League as well. Midweek, not so much, but good weekend of picks.
Yeah, I agree. I finished 5-2. The lock was the under in the Chelsea Everton game. You said Everton had plenty of chances. They had two or three half chances. They were shite, frankly. Everton, but yeah, that was a
Chelsea weren't much better.
Under. First half goals in Liverpool Tottenham. Absolute piece of piss. The only two losers I had, and I feel a little bit unlucky, Baz, was a big TTS in Wolves Leicester, missed penalty by Vardy. And I had the draw in Brighton West Ham, so I lost that in the 95th minute with the last kick of the game. Slightly offset by the fact I did get a last-minute winner in the Fulham game. So I can't moan about one and not accept the other one. So, yeah, absolutely happy with that. I could have looked into a clean sweep. But, yeah, five out of 7. And then I took over 2.5 for Palace. So, in fact, that's another last-minute winner. So I won't moan. Over 2.5 in Palace Villa. And I took Forest today, and it just never got going. The game script never really got going for that one.
Yeah.
We'll have a look at the eye catchers, Baz, because we've only got 5 games to handicap. I would remind you all to support SGPN's free content by taking a second to give us 5 stars and subscribe. Eye catchers in no particular order. I put Ipswich down top just because I thought they were absolutely fucking pathetic. They were abysmal. It was such a pathetic attempt to try to compete in a football match. Everything about them, the goalkeeper was an idiot. That was never a foul. The kid who got sent off, and everyone's harking back to the first yellow. It's irrelevant. It's a separate thing. If you're on a yellow card, 6 minutes later, you can't do that and get sent off. Bloke got sent off after half an hour the week before against Arsenal. Just be better. Sam Morse, he was an absolute dick, and Cissot was a snivelling little get. I thought they were absolutely pathetic. I don't know why, at various points this season, I thought they would go okay. In fact, I think when we did the Christmas show, international break or whatever, I backed them at 80-1 to finish in the top half. They were absolutely dog shit. Like, it was pathetic. I thought the ref was weak as piss as well the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, quick mention on that before you move on, because I'd wrote down the ref. I mean, it's the first time I can ever remember a referee at St James's Park. He awards us a pen in the first half. He sends a player off in the first half against us, and he still got booed off by Newcastle fans at half time. That's how bad he was. At both ends of it, it was just absolutely terrible. He looked like it was his first game. He looked nervous. He looked like he didn't want to make a decision. I mean, we had about 5 VAR referrals in the first half because he just seemed to just not want to make a decision on pretty much everything. It was a very bizarre performance from the referee, but yeah, he was garbage.
West Ham, I wrote down because even though they looked like they were going to win, they didn't. Graham Potter looks like he's starting to lose his marbles. He looked a little bit. We've seen a few managers get the old haunted look this year. Arns was one of them. And Graham Potter, he's another one that over Christmas or getting into the new year, I thought West Ham would finish strong as well. So there's a pattern emerging here. I'd say position West Ham I got wrong. But they looked absolute dog shit. It just hasn't worked out at all how I thought it would. Bournemouth Man United, Bas, today. How did the VAR and the referee, how have they decided that Evan Nielsen slipping is a red card? How can that be correct?
I can't understand why VAR get involved and why the referee yet again doesn't have the bollocks to just say, no, I got it right first time. Like, it was easy. And the stupid thing is, we've seen it earlier in the season with Man United. Bruno Fernandes got sent off for one of those, and they're stuck with it on the field or whatever. I can't even remember that one, whether the ref give it and then, or whether VAR give it. But either way, they reviewed it after the game, and he got his ban wiped out because it was a slip. And yet, with that in your mind, you're still sitting there. You can clearly tell he slipped. It was madness, absolute madness. Never a red. Awful.
Yeah, it was dreadful. That wouldn't surprise me if that gets rescinded as well.
I think it will.
Tottenham, I had to make a note of, Baz. They're just an absolute shambles. They've just got all different ways of being shite, being soft. I mean, the last few weeks, they conceded after 4 minutes. So they have a week off, a full week to prepare for the game against Wolves. 4 minutes they lasted. Sorry, 30 seconds Wolves was. 4 minutes was Nottingham Forest when they've had 9 days to prepare, whatever the hell it was. 4 minutes, goal Forest. Today, they go 1-0 up and you think, right, okay, let's make it difficult for them. Let's defend like bastards. Like 7 minutes, like they couldn't last. They just couldn't. They're physically incapable of not being soft as shit for 7 minutes. Like, absolute bollocks. I thought they were pathetic, Barry. Tottenham. We'll come on to them in a bit because we have to handicap them for the Europa League. And I did write down Everton. Now, Everton is shit, but I quite admire the fact They acknowledge that they're shit. See, this is what Tottenham should do. Everton said, right, we're shit. What we're going to do is we're going to put loads of big, ugly blokes up that end, and we're going to try and stop you kicking it in the goal. Just, that's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to do anything else. And there's a little bit of refreshing honesty about that, because I thought Everton would. I laughed at Beto a lot on Saturday after slagged him off on Thursday night. He gave the first goal away because he couldn't control the ball. And he can control it further than I can kick it. I just thought they were absolutely dog shit again, but quite in a charming way. It's a compliment. I'm being nice about Everton here. They're charmingly dog shit. Yeah. Anything on any of that, Baz?
No, I think you've covered all the eye catchers. Also, we should go over the FA Cup briefly as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, City beating Forest today. I really didn't have much feeling either way on the two games, to be fair. So the first half of Palace looked really good. And I said a couple of weeks ago, when Newcastle got beat off Villa, and fair enough, they were comfortably the better side on that day. But there was a massive overreaction to that. And I think the fact that they were noble in defeat against PSG. And sure enough, here we are a week later, and it's the 5 points adrift to Newcastle. I mean, that's not important, but they've lost to City in the midweek and then out of the cup final in quite spectacular fashion. So still, I mean, if they get in the Champions League, it's been a good season for Villa, but there's every chance they don't. And then suddenly, the picture they were looking at 2 weeks ago is completely different to where they currently are now. I thought at the time it was a little bit of an overreaction where suddenly Villa were everyone's flavour of the month, and not anymore.
I thoroughly enjoyed Villa getting humped. I wasn't really bothered one way or the other, and it was basically just recency bias. It's because Villa were a little bit chirpy after last Saturday when they beat us. So that's all. If we'd lost to Palace last Wednesday and beaten Villa, I probably would have wanted the other way around. I wanted the Palace fans to get back in their box, but it was the Villa fans. It was their turn in the barrel. And they did get absolutely humped as well, so that was good. City were better than Nottingham Forest. But just the game script didn't really work for Forest. They go a goal down, which doesn't really suit Forest. They're better front running. And then they never carried much luck. I mean, Gibbs White's Buddy Holly in the second half was outstanding technique, hit the bar. He then should have scored when he hit the post. Elanga's missed a sitter. So even though City dominated just about everything, like the XGs, we know you're a big XG fan. The XGs were pretty equal in the game because Forest had those sort of premium chances.
I mean, if they picked up one of those chances from Gibbs White, if they get one of those, that just invigorates everyone, and it might have went on and nicked another. City might have cracked. I do always laugh though when the commentators say about that volley, he couldn't have hit it any better. Well, he could, because if he'd hit it 3 inches lower, it's a goal. So you can definitely hit it better. If you hit the woodwork, there is definitely room for improvement, isn't there? It was a good strike, but the problem was he obviously leaned back too much or something, didn't he? That's what I'd say. He should lean forward a bit more, and he might have scored. The second one, he's got to score. Any professional footballer, it's a tight angle, but honestly, our kids would have scored that, man.
See, conversely, you're right, Baz, because one of my best excuses for missing chances was that I struck it too well. That's what I would say when I'd missed one. So that's just claiming that I did. But you can't strike it better. You're right, because I would strike it so well that it wouldn't go in. If I just struck it not quite as well, I'd have scored hundreds of goals, Barry. So you're right. You're absolutely right. What you say, you've backed me up there for 25 years. I was hoping Andy would be here because I did write down Wrexham as an eye catcher as well. Wrexham got promoted, but I just realised, Baz, like Andy messages me about Wrexham quite a lot. I have to pretend I care. I just realised I just have no feelings about Wrexham. And like, if you go down the Football League, if you remember in lockdown, in fact, Wrexham probably weren't a Football League team in lockdown. In lockdown, with nothing else to do, I made a list of all 92 football clubs and why I hated them, and I ranked them all. And if I put Wrexham in, I've got no feelings about Wrexham. And I don't think... Do you remember watching Newcastle play Wrexham? Because apart from the brand new teams like Harrogate, I mean, we even played Bromley this year. Morecambe, I can't remember. But apart from the really new ones, yeah, I've got history with everyone, absolutely everyone down in that division. I've seen Newcastle play. Carlisle got relegated out of the league this weekend. I've seen Newcastle play Carlisle loads of times. Swindon, Bradford, any of those League One, League Two team. But nothing at all with Wrexham. So I had a quick look, Baz. Last time we played Wrexham was the 81-82 season in Division 2. So my first season ticket was 82-83. So I missed them by a year. So that's why, like, Wrexham just don't inspire any feelings about me in the slightest. We've only played them 10 times in our history, which doesn't seem very many times. For two football clubs that have been kicking around in the same league for 100 years, you would have thought they'd played more than 10 times. But yes, well done, Andy. Congratulations on Wrexham going up. You say things.
Oh, me? I mean, you didn't.
Yeah,
that was just you on a thing. I think football-wise, that's about everything. One thing I've got to do, though, I did say that I would give a shout-out on the podcast. It's a request from Chloe to give a shout-out to a lad from school, Sam Richardson, who does listen to the podcast, apparently. It's his 15th birthday today, so I said I would give Sam Richardson a shout-out. He goes to school with Chloe. He hasn't had the best of birthdays because he's been down at Wembley watching Forest.
No.
So hopefully a birthday shout out from Baz might brighten the day a little bit. So happy birthday, Sam. Hope it was a good one, other than the
young lad dream that, Barry. There's a birthday shout out from Baz on the Premier League Gambling.
I'm not sure he'll have any interest, but Chloe thought it would be funny.
She's right, it is funny. Serial's joined us in the chat. Serial, how you doing?
He's got a valid question.
Well,
Serial's asking what a 15-year-old is doing listening to a gambling podcast. It's a very valid point. I believe his dad also listens as well, so maybe bit of family football betting interest.
Anything else you want to tell us about before we make some picks potentially, Baz?
I've got some good lifestyle, but I'll save it for the end.
Okay, lifestyle at the end. He's teasing. Yeah. Barry's teasing the lifestyle stuff, right? Okay. Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums, cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. We get Sam one of these, Baz, for his birthday. Sign up today at edgeboost.bet with the promo code SGPN. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. And we're brought to you by mybookie.ag, your place to bet on every sport, including the NBA playoffs. Props for every game. MyBookie accepts customers from tons of locations. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000. T's and C's apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Right, okay. So, 3 competitions to deal with. We've got Champions League semi-finals Tuesday, Wednesday. We have Europa League semi-finals Thursday. We have 1 Premier League game on Thursday as well. But we'll kick off with Tuesday, 8 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Champions League semi-final first leg. Arsenal take on Paris Saint-Germain. Arsenal are 11-10, plus 110. The draw is 12-5, plus 240. And PSG are 5-2, plus 250. I didn't write down the prices for the teams to qualify for this, so let me just grab those. To qualify, Arsenal 21-20, plus 105. PSG 7-10 favourites, minus 142. That surprised me, Baz, I must admit. Interesting game, this. Tricky game to handicap. As it should be. In a Champions League semi-final, it really shouldn't be straightforward at this point. Arsenal have got the best record in this year's Champions League. Played 12 games, won 9, drawn 2, lost 1. PSG have only won 8 of their 14, but they did start really slowly. They've picked up. Their strong form for PSG is very, very much a recency bias thing. I mean, we should have a decent read on PSG, really. The last 2 rounds, the last 4 games, they faced Premier League opposition. Arsenal statement wins in both legs against Real Madrid. I'm still not sure how good Real Madrid are. We watched them against Athletic. I wasn't that convinced. The fuck knows what was going on in that Copa del Rey final last night. Have you seen any of that, Baz?
That was nuts, wasn't it?
The build-up was nuts.
They're an
Where they were
absolutely
demanding
horrible
the
team.
referee had flaming turds shoved through his letterbox and that. And then they conceded a goal and they all went mental. So I'm not really something to miss with Real. I just don't get it at all. The domestic form is dull. Like they've been winning. I think they've won the last 4 games 1-0. Obviously, they got turned over off Barca last night. And Arsenal did a job on them. Arsenal absolutely did a job on them. They were really, really poor Real, but Arsenal played well against them. PSG were great twice against Liverpool. Then it's home against Villa. And then completely shit the bed in the second half against Villa. And we're actually lucky to get through. There was 10 minutes after Villa got the 3rd goal where PSG were completely and utterly rattled. I still find Arsenal's overall form line, it just doesn't blow my skirt up at all, Baz. And you can add 2-2 home draw with Palace last week as another example. Like, there's so many teams that they just haven't beaten. PSG lost in the league at the weekend. I assume phoning it in before this big game. So, making a pick, it was tricky. Arsenal's last 8 Champions League games, 8 in a row, over 2.5 goals. 5 of PSG's last 7 Champions League games, over 2.5 goals. The 2 that didn't were the 2 Liverpool games. Now, if you look at that on paper, you say, okay, 2 1-0s. If you watch those games, they were good value for over 2.5 goals, I think. So that's 12 out of 14. With the 2 that missed, I think were value for the overs. I took a few unders in the last round in the quarterfinals, and it didn't end up going well for me. So I'm just going to follow that trend, Baz, of the over 2.5s being strong. 9 to 10, -1, 1-1. I'll take over 2.5 goals, Baz.
Yeah, I don't mind it. That's nearly where I landed, but I went somewhere else for something a little bit juicier. I mean, it's got to the point now where I can't write off Arsenal's chances in this competition anymore after seeing them raise the game in the last round. And you can see Madrid weren't in the best of form, but I think you've also got to look at the comprehensive nature of it. As you say, it was fairly one-sided across both ties. And you can understand why Arsenal will go into this full of belief that they can get to the final. That said, I have been hugely impressed with PSG in the knockout stages. And you can see, for me, I expected them to be slight favourites for the tie here. Arsenal obviously favourites for the home leg. And that just took me to the sort of thinking the PSG price was slightly appealing. Not necessarily on the money line, but possibly for another angle in. Not too interested in the domestic form. I'm not really sure how much it means at this stage. Arsenal have looked like 2 different teams between the league and the European competitions. And PSG have already won the league. You just mentioned they got beat at the weekend. Any drop points recently doesn't really matter to them. So I'd be taking that with a pinch of salt. I'm drawn towards the PSG team total again. Exactly the same as I was when they went to Villa Park. And Villa had been in good form in the Champions League, particularly at home. Obviously, they lost the game, but they got the 2 goals nice and easy. So much attacking threat. They're always going to be dangerous. They've scored 2 or more in 7 of the last 9 in this competition. The only team that didn't concede 2 to them was Liverpool twice, and Liverpool should have conceded 5 or 6 in that first leg. And away from home, they've scored 2 or more in 4 of the last 5 as well. Again, just the Anfield trip where they didn't do that. So plenty of form for goals from PSG. Now, they did lose 2-0 to Arsenal earlier in the competition, but as you say, they've come a long way since then. They've improved a lot as the competitions went on. There was 2 things I like. I did like the overs at 10 to 11, but I like the PSG team total at 7 to 4. As I say, just a little bit of a juicier play. So that's going to be where I've gone. I'm going to go for the bolder pick. I do like yours, but PSG team total over 1.5 at 7 to 4.
Nice that, Baz. Bold is the key word. Okay. Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Barcelona host Internazionale of Milan. Barca are 7-10, roundabout -138. The draw is, in fact, there's been a huge price movement here. I did this at like midday today. Barcelona 4-6 now, -150. The draw is 16-5 plus 320. When it was 3-1 earlier on. Inter Milan were 100-30, and I'm all the way out to 4-1. So something has prompted that. I don't know if there's some team news or big line movement there for Barcelona, Baz. What have you got for this one?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Barcelona for the tie in this one. Not necessarily at the prices, certainly not a backable price, but they are flying at the moment. Big win last night over Real Madrid in the Cup. And the defeat in the second leg against Dortmund last round is their only defeat in any competition since before Christmas. Plenty of form for goals, and particularly in their home games in this competition. 4-1 win over Bayern, 4-0 over Dortmund, 3-1 against Benfica, 3-0 against Brest. Now, obviously, what we've seen in the early part of this competition was Inter being defensively solid, so you'd think would be a bit more of a challenge. But that defence isn't doing what it was doing earlier in this competition anymore. No clean sheet in 9 games for Inter. They've just lost 3 in a row domestically. And I said in the Arsenal PSG, I'm not that bothered about the domestic form. But those 3 games they've just lost in Italy were important games. They got knocked out of the Coppa Italia to rivals AC Milan. And then they've just lost their last 2 league games, which drops them down into second place. They didn't score in the last 3 games as well. So, creaking. Their form is creaking, Inter. And I find it hard to make a case for them, particularly away from home. And as I say, with their recent form just faltering a little bit. I think Barcelona should win this in the first leg in particular. And I'm comfortable with a handicap. Barcelona -1, Asian handicap. Just over evens. So, cash it if Barcelona can win by 2 or more, and push it if Barcelona win by just the 1. But yeah, I like Barcelona here. Something going wrong at Inter Milan at the moment.
Joe Bamba just pointed out a lot of the things that you mentioned there. The defeat against Roma, the cup defeat against Milan, Thuram out, which leaves Lautaro Martinez up front, although I like him a lot. I've made a lot of the notes you made, Baz. I've made note of those home Champions League wins. 4-0 Dortmund, 3-1 Benfica, 3-0 Brest, 4-1 Munich. Good form. That second leg of Dortmund last week was a weird one. It was a real head scratcher, the 3-1 defeat, because we just expected that to be a bit of a dead rubber, and it wasn't. Inter Milan squeezed past Munich 4-3 in that quarter final. And you pointed out last time, Baz, I've taken my lead from you. You pointed out the shift to overs in 4 of the last 5 Champions League games when there were absolute under machines. There were clean sheet machines earlier on. That shifted. The needles moved, and you're right to point it out. But they have scored at least twice in 5 straight Champions League games, Inter Milan as well. So I do think they're good for a goal. It's a bit of a boring pick, but it's the both teams to score over 2.5. I think Barca might get them 2-1, 3-1, something like that. So it's a BTTS, and over 2.5 is 9-10, -111. I'm going to read some advertising out because it's possible that Barry's house is on fire, because I've never seen him move as quickly as he has just then. Underdog Pick'em, I'll tell you about. You can play any sport and win up to 100 times your money. Use our code PLGP to claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. And Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Dominate the NBA playoffs and MLB prop market with Rhythm. Building your own model is simple and easy. Rhythm knows you love it, and that's why they include a 7-day free trial. Great deals at the moment, 25% off a monthly subscription with the promo code SGPN25 and 50% off an annual subscription with the promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Barry's back. He's back. What happened there, Baz?
Oh, it's carnage in this house. I'm in trouble. It sounded like someone was trying to break in through the front door or something like that. There was a lot of smashing and banging going on. So I thought I'd better see what's happening. Turns out, when I've had the bath, I've left the window open and the light on, and there's tons of moths come in, haven't there? So the family don't like anything that flies or moves, basically. So there's lots of towels being slapped off walls to try and kill moths, apparently. So I'll be in trouble,
Doghouse, Barry. In the doghouse. Okay, Europa League semi-finals are they both on Thursday night? Yes, Thursday, May the 1st. 8 o'clock kickoffs both. Start with Athletic Bilbao taking on Manchester United. Bilbao are even money. The draw is 5-2 plus 250. Man United 13-5 plus 260. I've maintained for quite a few months, or quite a few rounds, that Bilbao were the best side left in this competition, Baz. They're clearly the fourth best in Spain. They're a little bit off the top three, but they've separated themselves from the rest as well. They're in a little tier by themselves. Bilbao, very good at home. 1-10, drawn 6, only lost once. They've beaten the likes of Real, Villarreal, Celta Vigo, top half teams. And I've said that there is a separation to the top three in La Liga. Outside of the games against Barca, Real and Atleti, they've only lost once in 28 against everybody else. So that little top league's done them in. Everyone else, 1 defeat in 28. There's no reason playing a bottom 5 Premier League team should concern them at all. Form in this competition is really hard to analyse, though, because the opposition are all generally rubbish. It's sort of like that's for all 4 teams that are left in the semi-final and say, okay, well, you beat these people from Armenia. Right, what do I do with that? They've won. Right, hang on, where are we now? So, yeah, the demonstration of this rubbish opposition is the fact that Man United are unbeaten in this competition. 7 wins, 5 draws. They've got 2 away wins in 6. And even though they completed that mad comeback against Lyon a couple of weeks ago, they conceded twice in 90 minutes in both games. They then conceded twice more against 10 men in extra time. They were shite today, played 30 minutes against 10 men, and needed a scrappy 96-minute equaliser against a mid-table team out of form. A decent opposition at even money against Man United is just far too tempting, Baz. I'm not being churlish. I'm not just picking against them because I have to. We've done it all season long by taking good prices against Man United. I mean, if this was a top 4 team in England, if this was Newcastle or Chelsea, we did it with Forest and we recently against them. You'd be running to the window, Baz, to get a bet on. You have to take Bilbao, Barry.
Yeah. I mean, we're all Bilbao fans this week, aren't we? It'd be an absolute travesty if Man United somehow finished 16th in the league and qualified for the Champions League. I mean, Man U continue to be horrible until the Europa League comes along, in which I suppose they still continue to be horrible, but manage to grind something out. 1 win in 8 domestically, and yet still unbeaten in this competition. It's unbelievable, really, but questionable as to whether they can keep it going. I think this one's massive because I think the outright winner likely comes from this tie. Bilbao haven't had it all their own way in this competition, but at home, they've won 6 of their last 6, 5 of the 6 by 2 goals or more. And I just think the home form is what dragged me straight towards Bilbao here. Man United are unbeaten, but they've rode their luck at times. They've had several late winners or late equalisers. They're obviously unbeaten on the road because they haven't lost anywhere. But they did come away with a couple of draws from the last 2. Man United's form isn't enough for me to want to try and find a way into them at all, and not away to a decent Bilbao side. As you say, I think evens for Bilbao is perfectly backable. So same bet, team ride, Bilbao to win here at evens.
Team ride, the entire nation of Great Britain and most of the States and Canada are on Bilbao at even money. The second semi-final sees Tottenham Hotspur take on Bodo Glimt. Tottenham are around about 1-3, minus 300, 5-1 the draw. Bodo Glimt are 17-2, plus 850. Barry, what is the capacity of Bodo Glimt Stadium?
12,000.
I'll give you. Oh, all right. I was going to say I'll give you 50 either way. No, 8,270. It's touchy,
Nice.
that, isn't it?
That's
Touchy
small,
little
yeah.
stadium. Okay, pick us a winner.
I looked at Tottenham. They were about 1-4, I think, when I looked earlier. And I think Bootle's in. Bootle's a Spurs fan. So see what he fancies here. I think this is closer than the books have got it. There seems to be a bit of an expectation just because it isn't a big name in European football that it's going to be a walkover for Spurs. Nothing's a walk in the park for Spurs these days. Absolutely nothing at all. And Bodo have just beaten Lazio, who are higher up in Serie A than Spurs are in England. I'm feeding back off your mic here. It's sending me a little bit loopy. Spurs shouldn't be as short as this against anyone this season. Can you do something? Because that sounds awful. I don't know what you need to do. That's stop now. Whatever you've done, that's working. Spurs shouldn't be as short as this against anyone this season. 1-4, absolutely ridiculous. That's not to say they won't win it. Bodo have got a few good wins in this, but mostly at home. They've lost 4 of the last 5 away from home. So that tells you all you need to know in terms of where they're winning in this competition. So Spurs might win, but that doesn't mean I want to back them in any kind of fashion. The pick here for me was really, really easy. You've got to find something with Bodo here at these prices. And a Bodo goal is the way. They've scored in 12 straight Europa League games. And even away from home, where they're losing every week, they've scored in 6 straight away games as well. And Frankfurt went to Spurs and scored. Alkmaar went to Spurs and scored. I think Bodo will. Both teams to score, 10-11. I think it's a great price. I think there'll definitely be a goal there. Spurs might go and win it 2-1, 3-1. Who knows? But Bodo will get on the score sheet one way or another.
Tottenham's league form continues to be complete dog shit in the eye catches we talked about. I don't know what they're trying to achieve today again at any point. And the fact that it's Liverpool and it's away from, it doesn't fucking matter. Do better, be better. And when you get 1-0 up, say, right, lads, let's fucking, for 10 minutes, let's fucking narrow it up. Let's kick shit out of them for 10 minutes. Let's see if we can get to half time. 12 minutes later, they're 3-1 down, man. Absolutely pathetic. A lot of strong feelings in the chat here. Andy's turned up. You missed the Wrexham chat, Andy. Sorry, we'll have to get his. You'll have to go back for that. Bodo -2.5 for Joe Dollar, BTTS in both halves. For Bootle, Callum thinks they'll get turned over in the away leg. Their only wins in the last 8 are against Ipswich and Southampton, which we know don't count. The only odd thing in the game log here is the 1-0 away win in Frankfurt. It doesn't fit in with anything. It's an absolute fucking outlier. Just a big enigma of a result. Because everything else is really easy to pick. Again, trying to analyse the form of a home win over Elfsborg, Alkmaar or Karabag was a bit too tricky even for me, Baz. And I am a European football expert. Bodo Glimt, only 3 games into their season in Norway. But good form in Europe, knocked Lazio out on pens. Lost away from home 4 times this year, including 3-2 at Manchester United earlier in this competition. But if you look down the game log, it's goals everywhere. 11 of 14 BTTS, 10 of those over 2.5. The presence of Tottenham doesn't put you off a goal fest. Both teams to score is massive, Barry. It's fucking massive. I nearly fell off my chair, the same as you when I saw the price. That Frankfurt 1-0, I could put you off, but I don't know, it shouldn't. I was considering initially I was going to tag on the over 2.5 to boost it up to 5-4, but then I saw the price. You don't need to. I'll take the 9-10. I was exactly the same place as you, Baz. BTTS at 9-10, -111. But equally, if we were picking a dog, I'd put up Bodo Glimt for these 5 games we're doing tonight at 8.5 to 1. But there's much worse underdogs you can pick. Literally anybody could beat Tottenham if they wanted to. I mean, literally anybody. So a team with decent European form have got a very, very live chance. There is one Premier League game on Thursday night, I reckon, which is Nottingham Forest taking on Brentford. This is a 7:30 kickoff. So 2:30 Eastern time. Forest are 15-13 plus 115. 12-5 the draw plus 240. Brentford are 9-4 plus 225. I stopped pretty quick, Baz. Forest at the prices. You have to take them. Again, I know you're laughing again, but why wouldn't you? I didn't think they played badly today. They were kind of stymied by a first-minute goal, and then they did all right. They did what Forest do. That game script really didn't suit them at all. And there's a form line of Brentford here that tips you off. Away games against the top 8 teams, they've lost 6 out of 7. That'll do. We're getting plus money for a team that's lost 6 out of 7 against any team sitting in the top 8, which is what Forest are doing. It's really simple. That Forest are better than Brentford considerably. I thought they did well on Monday night against Tottenham. I thought that was a solid performance, a nerve-settling performance. I didn't think they did much wrong today at all. Forest at 15-13, Baz plus 115 for me.
Yeah, I could have. If you'd asked me to predict your pick, I would have got that bang on.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
seconds.
But why not? They've won a lot of games for me at even money.
Yep. Defeat for them today, though, means they've lost 3 of their last 4 games now. The win against Spurs, which actually I thought wasn't that impressive, but defeats to Villa, City, and Everton. Everton at home's the one that stands out, and that was the only one at the City ground. But they were poor that day. There was no injustice at all in losing that game. And it just remains to be seen how much today took out of them, physically and mentally. Obviously, they need to get back on track. Still loads to play for, especially with them having now dropped out of the top 5. They beat Brentford 2-0 in the reverse fixture. But Brentford, for me, been going okay lately. You've obviously spun it your way by focusing in on those away games, which is fair enough. But a tough run of fixtures, Lisa.
But I haven't spun the facts, Baz. I've mentioned the facts. There's no spin there. That's just science, isn't it?
Bits that you like, and
science, Barry. You can't pick facts like they're just there. They exist.
Anyway, shut up. Tough run of fixtures they've had. We have talked a lot about their struggles against top end sides, but they've just had a draw against Arsenal, draw against Chelsea, decent win over Brighton last week, and that's got them now close to breaking into the top half. And even in the defeats, they did lose to Newcastle, but they were a little bit unlucky to do so. And similar in the Villa defeat as well. They gave a good account of themselves in both of those games, and a little unlucky to lose them, I thought. I'm not making a case for fading Forest here at home. I've made that mistake in the past. I know you like Forest against average teams at this sort of price, so no surprise where you've gone. But I just don't know how they respond after the weekend, and I think it'll be close, and I think it'll be low scoring, which is where I've ended up. 7 of the last 10 Forest games all went under 2.5 goals, and 5 straight home games under 2.5 for Forest. The reverse fixture was a 2-0 as well. Under 2.5 for me, even money between Forest and Brentford.
It's fair enough. We can both win on that one, Baz. Like it. Okay, 5 games in the hutch. About half an hour ago, you teased us with some impending lifestyle information. I'm dying to know, Baz. What have you got?
Yeah, one's just a little bit of what I got up to with the weekend, and the other one's a little bit of football bollocks, which is funny. I was at a gig last night, went out, took the kids. Actually, the 4 of us were going to go to a gig. Helen was ill, so she couldn't go out. So I phoned in Kieran, who you know, at last minute, 6:30 phone call to Kieran. Do you fancy a gig tonight? Took him along at 10 minutes notice, so fair play to him for dragging himself. But I went to see a young lad called Freddie Halkin, who supported the Ratings when we were up in Newcastle a few weeks ago. The kids love him, and I like him. He's a decent up-and-coming bloke. Nice small venue, 200 people in there. Had to smuggle Sophie in because it was 14 was the age limit. She's only 12, so we smuggled her in underage. But always good. Had a good night. Kids were buzzing because they got to meet Freddie Halkin after the gig. And the other bonus was the Ratings, who we went to see, who are a much bigger band. We went to see them up in Newcastle a few weeks ago. They were there just watching the gig. So the kids got to meet up with the Ratings as well. So that was a good night. Had a good night out last night.
Very good, love it.
And then footy today, I was a victim of abuse today, Malcolm.
Oh no!
Oof.
Did someone call you a name? Can we guess what it was?
Ooh, why? Yes. I was told. Well, I was told to shut up, fatty was the exact term used by the opposition coach today. I've
It's
not
not
heard
very
that.
nice.
I've not heard that since I was about 12-year-old. Shut up,
Shut
fatty
up,
was.
or fatty.
Well, I get told to shut up every day. But yeah, fatty was a little bit of an odd one to get called out, and then he called me a fucking idiot, which
Right.
factually correct, but it has no place on the football field with 14-year-old girls in earshot.
It's one of the dads, was it?
No, one of the coaches.
Oh, nice.
So I wasn't impressed. Like, I showed extreme restraint under the circumstances. Even Helen said that. Helen said she was ready to go for him when she heard him starting, and she said, "I can't believe you just stood there and just laughed it off." And then
What was his problem? What had occurred to
um,
instigate it?
we've played this team before, and all he does is chirps on at the linesman all game, accusing them of cheating and everything. And I wouldn't tolerate that. You know what I mean? I'm a big advocate of volunteer lines persons. So when he chirped up, I told him to shut up. I said, "Don't start this again. You've done it last time." And then he started going off again, and then called me fatty and told us I was a fucking idiot. But it all started over an offside decision. Was blatantly about 3 yards offside, but they were behind, and he didn't like it, so he started accusing our bloke of cheating again. I told him to shut up. So
Fair
I
enough. And did you win?
shut up, fatty. Yeah, but 1-3-1. I all good in the end.
Yeah, good. Fucking.
And he's been reported, so fuck him.
Yeah. Well, good. I've had a football-free weekend. No kids football. I think I might have 1 or 2 games left, but the entire weekend. It's amazing getting your life back for just one weekend. No kids football. It's astonishing. Like, right,
Yeah, we've got
okay then, Baz. Very good.
last weekend for us. Next week, kids football, and then as you say, get me weekends back for a bit.
Anything else you want to tell the people about before we let them go?
That is all.
Nothing at all. Not me neither. Little short and sweet tonight with only 5 games to handicap. We'll be back, I reckon, Thursday night, possibly. It's Kentucky Derby this week, Baz, so I'm busy. And I've got a lot of horse racing to do of the network and a few other places. But we'll try and we'll get it scheduled nice and early. So keep an eye out for your notifications on YouTube. Thank you, everyone. Bootler and Andy and John and Joe Dollar, Joe Bamber, Callum. Everyone all the way to the top. James Mafia was in as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Good luck with all your picks this week. I hope the football's good. Looking forward to the semi-finals, and we'll see you all down the road. Cheers.